On this episode of Scammer Stories, another episode with someone I'm close to. This time, it's a scam I didn't even see coming. Suzanne and I have been friends for years, but I just recently learned about what's happening with her mother. The weird thing is, another friend just told me that the very same thing is happening to her mother as well. Scammers, they like to use people and topics that people are passionate about, right? Sometimes their civil duty or patriotism can pull them into a scheme, though. It doesn't always involve romance. More and more, I'm seeing politics used for scams. It can be any candidate from both sides of the aisle that you support. But for this episode, we're talking about President Donald Trump. Last weekend, a friend approached me with concern for her mother going through the very same political scam. She even ended up at the Capitol at the inauguration when the riot broke out after she was convinced that she was talking to Trump. Now today, we're talking with my friend who I'm calling Suzanne. We met when I started working at the radio station in 2009. She's been there through all of my single life escapades and really stepped up when my brain aneurysm burst, showed me the meaning of true friendship. So all that to say, we're tight. So I was surprised to learn that her mom was caught up in this mess. I'll let her start with a little background on her mother.
My mother really has never had her own identity. She and my dad started dating when she was 13. They got married when she was 17. And so her identity has always been wrapped up in him because, he was a public servant. He was a police officer. And then he had a music career. And so she was always my dad's wife. And then when my sister, my brother and I were little, then her identity was our mother. She was my cheerleading sponsor and my mom was a scorekeeper. And then my brother, he played all sports and they were involved in all of his stuff. So it was, if I run into somebody from high school, they will ask me how my mom and dad are doing. Wow. All of our friends knew our parents.
And she's still living in the same house that you grew up in, right?
Same house. Yeah. Same house.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is. And so, but that was her identity. So since my brother's college football career, she hadn't really had an identity, especially since my dad passed, which is 11 years ago. So she's kind of been on her own and she's always been a homebody. She doesn't really like to go anywhere. She likes to be, she only liked traveling with my dad. They traveled for years.
Yeah, they had an RV and all that fun stuff.
Yes. Yeah, they loved that. And so, but it was weird because my aunt and uncle used to travel with them. And my aunt would say that, all the girls would be going somewhere and they would ask my mom to go shopping with them or go out to lunch with them or whatever. And my mom occasionally she would go, but mostly she would just stay in the RV because that was her thing. She loves being at home. She loves piddling at home. She loves decorating inside the home. And that's what she did. Their RV was decorated to the nth degree.
That's wonderful at her mom's age to still have a hobby, but the isolation is a major red flag. There happens to be this amazing senior center that has all kinds of fun activities for the older generation. And Suzanne thought maybe she could get her mom to go and her sister would go too.
I told my sister first. I said, okay, look, there's one of the ladies I go to church with and she volunteers at church and she's very active. She's as old as my mom, if not older, but she's very sharp and very with it, So I sent her a message and I said, I know you're very active. What do you do outside volunteering at church? And she said, my daughter came by one day and picked me up and took me to the Broken Arrow Senior Center. And she said, if she had asked me to go, I would have said no.
Yeah, that's a wonderful place.
She said, it's fabulous. And she loves it. She goes 3 times a week and she'll go down there and she'll have lunch and then she'll do a workout and then she'll have lunch. And then whatever activity she chooses to do after that, she'll play pool or she'll do bingo or whatever she chooses to do. Mm-hmm. So my sister and I talked about it. My sister lives in Broken Arrow, and even though I don't, I could still pay to go there.
So we're in Native American country, and Broken Arrow is a suburb of Tulsa.
And so we said to our mom, hey, let's all three join this place and we can go over there a couple times a week and have lunch and see if there's any other activities we want to do. And my mom's reaction was, that sounds terrible. I'm not at all interested in doing that. I said, or why don't you join the gym that I go to, which is right here because I live 6 blocks from my mom and the place where I work out is a mile away. And I said, why don't you join the same gym I go to and we can walk on side by side treadmills. She could go as little or as much as she wanted, but at least it would give her something to do.
Mhm.
No.
Another reason that Suzanne needed her mother to get active is because she'd been on painkillers for her legs for years and thought maybe the meds were leading to her mother not thinking clearly.
A lot of the problems we were having with her, we were blaming it on her hydrocodone that she's been on for 20 something years.
Now, how did you know something was amiss? How did you know there was a problem? Let's get to that part first, and then we'll talk about the hydrocodone.
She's so out of it. A lot of times when we would go over to see her, she wouldn't even know if it was day or night. She wouldn't know when the last time was that she ate something, and her speech would be slurred.
Suzanne took her to a doctor that the family has known and trusted for years. The doctor took one look at everything she was on and was like, whoa, hold on here. And now that I think about it, looking back, I wonder about this with my mom, who was fighting cancer in the middle of her scam. Not a bad idea for the people listening to this podcast who have elderly parents. Maybe check on what they're on.
And it took about a full year to get her weaned off of a lot of medications and get her hydrocodone down as low as we could get it. But I believe that she was on it for so long that I think it did some permanent damage. She doesn't have the slurred speech anymore, and she is aware of whether it's 9 a.m. or 9 p.m., but she just isn't thinking 100% clearly. And the more we see with the political garbage that she's doing, it all kind of makes sense. Kind of wondering if she's got the beginnings of dementia.
You said the political garbage. Tell us about the political garbage. This is good.
Well, where to start? She started this stuff saying that she's working. I'm doing air quotes. And we're like, what are you talking about? I'm working for Donald Trump. And I said, what do you mean you're working for Donald Trump? Well, I mean, it's his team, but there's things I have to fill out. I'm like, what things? She's talking about, you'll get a text message and it'll say, click here to fill in your opinion. Right. So she would click on those things. And of course, you're supposed to be answering all these questions. And I kept telling her, Mom, that's what scammers do. You don't need to be doing that. That's how scammers get your personal information from you, is by asking you to click this link and fill stuff out. And you don't need to be doing it. She started getting really mad about it. And the dumb thing about it is she keeps saying, I can't believe you all don't believe me. I mean, she talks about Donald Trump and Kellyanne Conway and Mike Huckabee like they're her personal friends, like somebody that would walk in her front door, She's also, she's not allowed to have a credit card anymore. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. She messed up the credit card that she had because she donated to a couple of campaigns using her credit card, and it ended up being a monthly thing. It was charging her card every month. And because she thought, oh, yeah, it's helping Donald Trump, then she just let it go. This was back in 2016 or 2020. I don't remember which one. When we found out about it, we tried to get it stopped. So we ended up, I think it was twice that we ended up having to cancel her credit card. So Visa finally said, okay, we're going to give her another card, but this is it. We're not doing this again. If she screws up this card, we will not give her another one.
Do you think she was donating to the real campaign or fake campaign?
I honestly don't know. That's why we were stopping it. There's no way to verify who it was going to.
Yeah.
We just stopped it. So she does have a credit card, but my sister keeps it at her house in Broken Arrow. So if Mom has something that she wants to put on her credit card, she has to call my sister and have my sister bring her the card. But we don't leave the card with her for that reason, because she'll mess something up again and then she can never get another card.
Suzanne says there's a move her dad made before his death more than a decade ago that's been really helpful with her mother today.
My dad was ill, and he set me up as power of attorney for him and my mom. And that has come in really handy because I gave a copy of the power of attorney to her doctor and also to our credit union. We belong to a small credit union where everybody knows who we are. And so that's really important. I called the other day and I was talking to the lady and I said, look, this is what's going on with Mom. She's writing checks. She doesn't have access to her credit card. That's my sister has the card, but she does write checks every month to certain campaigns. Even though the election's over, she's still writing these checks. So I asked the lady at the credit union, I said, is there a way if a scammer gets hold of one of her paper checks that they can wipe out her account? And she said, absolutely they can. You can whitewash the check. make it out for any amount they want as long as it'll clear her account. Well, at that time, she had a ridiculous amount of money in her checking account. So I asked the lady, I was like, okay, if it's in savings, it's protected, right? It's only if it's in her checking account. And she said yes. So I called my mom and I told her about it. And I said, look, we need to get as much money as we can out of your checking account. Put it in savings. When you figure out what your monthly bills are, because they're almost identical every month, I said, all we need to do is make sure we have that amount of money in your checking account. Everything else needs to be in savings. And so the lady at the credit union told me that she will keep an eye on mom's account. And if she sees anything weird going on, she will call me. So I got that taken care of. But she's still writing these paper checks. And I keep asking her, okay, who are you sending money to? She calls them her boys. I'm just sending them to my boys. Okay, who are your boys? And it's all conservative Republican people. But I said, how do you even know that? Because I've looked at the stamps on the back of the check. I've even tried to research what it says on the back of the check. And there's no way to know. Anybody can go out and open an account that says conservative, whatever. I could go do that. I could go make up my own conservative platform to put a check on a check or put it on an account and ask you for money. So you don't even know that this is actually going to the people that you think it's going to. What really ticked her off was I said, this money could actually be going to Democrats. and that is the one thing that I guarantee you, when she gets a text or an email that says, are you a Democrat now? Have you left us? Have you become a traitor kind of thing? That's the way she takes it. And she will respond to those every time, even though I tell her not to. I mean, she's written a personal letter to Nancy Pelosi. It's sad. It's so ridiculous. And you have to laugh about it because it's so dumb.
Didn't you say that she was writing speeches and things for Trump?
Yeah, I went over to her house right after Donald Trump had done the debate with Kamala Harris. And she goes, come here, I got to show you something. And she gets her remote. She has something recorded. And she goes to the part of the debate where Trump was speaking. Harris interrupted him. And Donald Trump said, excuse me, I'm still speaking. Don't interrupt me, which is word for word what she had said in a previous debate when someone interrupted her. And so he said those words during the debate, and he said, does that sound familiar or something like that? Okay, my mom pointed that out to me, and she goes, that's exactly what I told him to say to her. That's why she'd recorded it. She was so thrilled that he had told her what my mom told him to say. So right now, Trump is selecting his cabinet for the next 4 years. Mm-hmm. Well, he's doing that based on stuff that my mom is telling him. That's what she thinks is happening. And so, I keep saying, Mother, really?
Well, you said you and your sister went over there and you got pretty upset. Tell me about that conversation.
We had a heart-to-heart with her because she was saying, okay, she honestly believes she's had a phone conversation with Elon Musk, and he was asking for $12 on a monthly basis. And I said, Mother, does that make sense? And she said, what do you mean? And I said, Elon Musk has committed $45 million a month to Donald Trump's campaign. $45 million. Why does he need $12 a month from you? Does that make any sense at all? And then the other day it was Kellyanne Conway.
What was her response?
Yeah, she's just like, well, they have to have input from American citizens. I said, Mom, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, it was ongoing. It's several things. Kellyanne Conway. She got a letter the other day from Kellyanne Conway, and she's telling us about it. Well, Kellyanne has a friend who's trying to start her own business, and she needs $25,000 as startup capital for this business. And so she's asking if I could contribute some money. And I said, Kellyanne Conway asked you for $25,000? And she goes, oh, no, not just me. She's trying to get everybody to pitch in as whatever you can to help her friend. She's trying to get $25,000. I said, okay, wait a minute. So if her friend needs money to start up a business, why wouldn't she just ask Donald Trump to invest instead of asking a widow for some money? I mean, it's just stuff like that it just drives us crazy. And every time, Mom, does that make sense? Does that make sense? She told me the other day that she got a letter from Carrie Lake, and Carrie Lake's not doing well, and she's not even sure she's going to have money for Christmas. So I pulled my phone out and I looked up Carrie Lake's net worth. Same thing I did when she was talking about Kellyanne Conway. I looked up her net worth. And Kellyanne Conway's net worth is like $25 million. Like, why does she need why does she need even $25 from you if she's worth $25 million? Why wouldn't she just help her friend herself or ask Donald Trump to invest?
How do you think they know about her political views, her leanings? Does she post about it on Facebook?
No, she does. She's not on Facebook.
Hmm.
We keep telling her, Mom, the more you donate to these different campaigns, the more campaigns you're going to get hit up from. My mother gets a ridiculous amount of mail every day. She gets like at least a dozen political things in the mail every day. And it's so overwhelming to her because she will. Okay, my mother believes that she has to read every piece of mail that comes into her house. And everywhere it says her name or anything, her personal information, she got one of those little things that blacks out your personal information. It's almost like whiteout, except for it does hash mark stuff over your name and your address and all that stuff. And she'll sit there and do that on all these documents before she shreds them. I said, Mom, look, let me show you what I do. I go to my mailbox, I get my mail, I go stand by the trash can. I said, if it's a political thing, sometimes I'll rip it in half. Sometimes I just toss it in the way it is. I said, I never touch a piece of mail twice. I leave the mailbox, I go to the trash can, I like chunk, 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 and whatever is not garbage will go in the house with me. The rest of it stays in the garbage can in the driveway.
You and I are getting tickled about this, but we've talked about it before.
It's so frustrating.
You have to laugh about it sometimes because, like you said, every once in a while you'll go talk to your mom and talk to her about it, and you'll go home and you'll tell your husband, okay, you just got to give me 30 minutes, okay? Just give me 30 minutes.
When I walk in the door from my mom's house, as soon as I walk in the door, Curtis goes, do you want the whiskey now or later? Okay, I just went to the bank, the credit union I was telling you about. I just went there like an hour ago. And when I pulled in, I was like, it looks like my sister's car. So I walk inside, there's my sister. So anyway, when I was leaving, Cindy said she was leaving the credit union. She was going to my mom's house. She goes, you want to go with me? And I was like, no, I was just there a day or two ago. So then about 30 minutes after that, Cindy calls me. And I said, what's going on? She goes, I just left mom's. And she said, I'm just so mad. I just had to talk to somebody. I said, is she at it again? And she goes, oh yeah. So she said, when I got there, I walked in and she wasn't in the living room. I'm like, Mom, where are you? And I looked down the hallway and she's stepping out of her office. She has a computer room and she calls it her office. So she was stepping out of the office and Cindy goes, what are you doing? She goes, oh, I'm working. Cindy goes, what do you mean? What do you mean working? She just came walking into the living room and didn't answer the question about what she meant by working. Well, I know what she means by working. That means that she's been in there answering political emails. And she made a comment to my sister that James, he's part of the team. James said that he is going to tell Donald Trump that my mother needs a paid position, that she's been doing so much work to help with the campaign that she deserves to be paid for her time. So my sister said, okay, look, this sounds like something a scammer's going to do. They're going to say you need a paid position. Next thing, they're going to ask you for your financial information so they can set up direct deposit and they're going to wipe you out.
Absolutely.
And my mom goes, that would never happen. It's like I just want to sit there and beat myself in the head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, God. Okay, now just a couple weeks ago, she was talking about Donald Trump had sent her an email asking her to be on his cabinet. And I said, does that make any sense to you, Mom? I said, Donald Trump has got Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, and I started naming off all these people. He's got all ththese people. Why would he want an 84-year-old woman in Tulsa, Oklahoma to be part of his cabinet? She got really upset with me and my sister and was like, I just don't understand why you don't believe me. Okay, so then my sister-in-law, my brother and sister-in-law live in Oklahoma City. And my sister-in-law was texting with my mom, and my mom had told her, she told Donald Trump, yes, that she would be a cabinet level advisor. And my sister-in-law said, we got the same text. And my mom said, oh, no, not the same. So my sister-in-law did a screenshot and sent the screenshot to my mom. And my mom lost her mind.
In case you got lost here, Suzanne's mom got a message requesting that she take a cabinet position, and Suzanne's sister-in-law got the exact same message.
She just was so mad. So then my mom sends me a text and she goes, okay, you were right. I told him I'm done. I'm through. My daughters told me you were a scammer and I didn't believe it, but I knew if you were that at some point you would screw up. Well, you did. And I've seen it. Finally, she was upset that the exact email that was sent, because I keep telling her, Mom, these are managed accounts. Everything you're getting, all these text messages, these emails, it's a managed account. They set it up to blast out to a bunch of people all across the United States. She goes, well, no, Mom, these are to me. This is to Helen. It's personalized. These are coming directly to me with personalized. And I was like, the computer does that.
It's heartbreaking because you try to put yourself in her shoes for a minute. If you
Yeah.
really, really believed this and none of your family members believed you,
Oh,
I see why she gets upset.
this is exactly where we are. So I said to her the other day when she was saying, I just can't believe you all don't believe me. I said, Mother, would you listen to the stuff that you're saying to us? Do you honestly believe that if you had, because she says she has worked for Donald Trump for 9 years. So do you honestly believe that if you had been working for someone for 9 years, that your kids wouldn't know it? She calls my sister and she said, I got an invitation to go to the inauguration. Seats at the inauguration and a hotel. I can take guests with me. So would you like to go with me? And my sister said, what are you talking about? Why would that happen? Well, it's a thank you for all that I've done. I've done so much to help him. He said I've done so much to help him that he really wants me there. And so my sister and I said, okay, we got to see this email. So we go to my mom's and look at the email, and it's one of those things that says fill out this survey for a chance to win, airfare to the inauguration and seats and all that. And my mom goes, oh, well, I guess I misread it. I thought it was inviting me to go. I told her, I said, Mom, look, I mean, on the day of, whatever the Tuesday was in November, the 5th or the 6th that we all voted, I knew the line was going to be long. And I knew that my mom could not stand in that line very long. Her
Yeah, here
legs won't allow that.
in our area, they were like 2, 3 hours. Yeah.
Right. So I borrowed one of those walkers that has the seat built into it.
Mm-hmm.
I borrowed it from my friend for that day. I took it to my mom Monday night and I said, okay, here you go. So when you go to vote, take this with you. When you're standing, you can hold on to it. If you get tired of standing, you have a seat. Okay. So that's what I had to do just to allow her to go vote. So she was talking about going to this inauguration. I was like, okay, Mom, you need to think about this. And I'm trying to get her to think things through. Okay, you're talking about walking long distances through an airport. You're talking about when, there's going to be standing room only. I said, any rally that Donald Trump has done or previous inauguration, standing room only. You're not going to be able to stand for 5 or 6 hours. And she goes, I don't have to stand. I'll have a seat right up there next to him.
Oh. You can tell that Suzanne's so frustrated because this is her mother's new identity, real or not.
She was talking about some email that she'd gotten from him. And I said, Mom, this guy is a millionaire. He's running multiple companies and he's campaigning to be the president again. How do you think he's got time to email individual people across the United States?
That's true.
If he's emailing you, he's probably emailing other people too. How do you think he's got time to do that? And I made some comment about he's doing this, this, this. And she goes, well, not today. Today he's in Texas with Elon Musk because they're shooting off that rocket.
The problem dealing with a victim like this is she knows more about the news than me. She has the time to live and breathe it. I go to work, come home, spend time with my husband, my dog, my friends.
When I got home, of course, there it was on TV that Donald Trump was down in Texas with Elon Musk while they're shooting off this SpaceX rocket. And I was like, okay, well, at least she knows what she's talking about. But that was my point to her was, he is running, he does his emails early in the morning. Like, I still can't get her to understand this man, because I actually said to her one day, I was like, look, Mom, my sister and I have invited her to do several different things. She didn't want to do it. I said, you don't want to get out of this house and go do something with real people, but you'll sit here and text and email with these people you've never met before. And she goes, I haven't met them in person, but I've worked with them for years.
Oh, gosh,
and I know all you can do is laugh about it because it's so freaking sad.
Oh, yeah, my mom's scammer had a diamond mine in Turkey and then ran into emeralds. So
yeah, just the stuff that she honestly believes that this is real and true, and Donald Trump is her really good friend. Every day she wears Trump clothing. Every day. I took her to the doctor less than a month ago. She had a doctor's appointment. I go with her. She's wearing a Trump shirt. So she's sitting there in the lobby, somebody will walk past and make some comment about it. And well, next thing you know, we're in a 30-minute long conversation and she's telling these people about it. She's working for Donald Trump. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Because I guarantee these people are sitting there thinking this woman is insane.
Well, the good news is with your family, at least you all are on the same page, which is huge. That's half the battle.
Yes.
I'm hearing more and more from people whose parents are talking to political campaigns or politicians. Anything that you would have to say that would help other families? Maybe something that you figured out when you first started going through this, or what
we've started doing is when she says to us, like I told you, Kellyanne Conway or Carrie Lake, they need some help, they need some money, or Steve Garvey or Mike Huckabee, all these people that are her friends, when they need money, I look up their net worth and I show it to her and I say, does that make sense? If he's worth this much money, why is he asking you, a widow who lives on a set salary every month, why are they asking you for money? I just try and make her think it through.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing I've started doing is I'll look up the text messages. Like the other day, she said something about some text message she got from Donald Trump. I said, what number did it come from? And she'll rattle off the phone number. Well, I'll look it up, and it'll almost always say, you just type in the phone number and Google it, and it almost always says something about a hoax or a scam. And I show it to her, and she'll write it down. She has a whole pad of numbers written down, who she's blocked. Because once I tell her that it's a scammer, it's a hoax or scam or whatever, she'll write the phone number down and then she'll block it. And that's why I keep telling her, every time you send a text message to one of these people, all you're doing is telling them, hey, this phone number is a legitimate person that will reply to you. So they're going to sell that number to 10 other lists or more. So she's just constantly, like before the election, I might get 5 or 6 text messages a day, political based text messages. When I'm sitting trying to have a conversation with her, her phone pings nonstop. Even now after the election, she's constantly getting, like every 30 seconds, her phone will make a noise. She'll look at it to see who it is, and then it's like that addiction they talk about when like with your mom.
The dopamine hits, yeah.
Exactly right. Every time that phone dings, she's like, oh, someone else needs my opinion. Someone else needs something from me. And that's what we've talked to her about is like, Mom, are you that lonely that you're wanting to talk to these people that you don't even know, but we can't get you out of the house to go interact with real people? So what we've started doing is, number one, just when she says something about donating, we look up the net worth of that person. Does this make sense, Mom? And then the other thing is, we try to get her involved in stuff, get her out of the house. About the only thing we can get her to do is go out to dinner. But then when we do go out to dinner, she sits there and talks about this stuff. And it makes you so frustrated.
Aggravates you, yeah.
It's like you just can't wait to get her back home and get away from her because she won't stop.
Yep.
It's just so frustrating.
So Suzanne sent me a text last week with an update after she talked to her mom's hairdresser. The hairdresser says she actually has several clients who believe they're speaking to President Trump. Who knows? Maybe it'll get his attention and he'll take action. I don't know. We can hope. So to recap, this scam is called a political donation scam. I found a blog that was really helpful from Huntress that lays it out beautifully, and I'll put the link in the show notes. But just a few highlights here. They find your voting history, these scammers do, and they use robocalls, emails, and text messages, and they also use voice cloning, easily done these days. Fake websites are also so easy. The blog link I'm providing even shows all the text they use and how to spot red flags. So check on your loved ones, check on that blog, ask them questions, and find out what's going on in their lives, especially if they live alone. You can always email me if you have any questions or concerns, and I'll do my best to help. Send it to scammerstoriespodcast@gmail.com. Until next time, Scammer Warriors.